What if one morning you woke up and everything you owned was gone? Banks collapsed, jobs vanished, and millions were left hungry. This is the story of the Great Depression, when the world's greatest economy came crashing down. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true history stories. The Roaring Twenties, an age of jazz, parties, and prosperity. The streets buzzed with new energy, stock markets soared, and optimism ruled. America danced on the edge of a golden dream, and no one believed it could end. Cities grew higher, cars sped faster, and money seemed endless. Wall Street was the heart of it all, a symbol of unstoppable progress. But beneath that shine, the foundation was cracking. For every man in a tuxedo at a Manhattan ball, there was a farmer struggling in silence. Wealth was uneven, debt was rising, and the illusion of endless success was about to shatter. Americans poured their savings into the stock market. Everyone, from factory workers to housewives, wanted a piece of the action. Stocks only went up until they didn't. People borrowed heavily, buying stocks on credit, believing prices would rise forever. It was a dangerous game, and the higher it climbed, the harder it would fall. Then came October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday, the day the dream died. In just hours, the market collapsed, wiping out fortunes, hopes, and futures. Panic spread through Wall Street like fire through dry grass. Phones rang off the hook, brokers screamed, and billions disappeared. It wasn't just a crash, it was the end of an era. Americans rushed to their banks, desperate to withdraw their savings. But the banks were empty. Their money had vanished into thin air. Trust itself had collapsed. Businesses went bankrupt overnight. Families were evicted, homes were lost, and the American dream turned into a nightmare. What had taken years to build crumbled in days. Factories closed their doors, machines went silent, and workers stood idle. Industrial giants fell, and the streets echoed with silence and despair. By 1933, unemployment reached 25%. 1 in 4 Americans had no job, no income, no security. Soup lines grew longer. Hope grew shorter. And then nature turned cruel. The Dust Bowl, a decade-long drought, scorched the heart of America. Crops failed, and black clouds of dust rolled across the plains. Desperate farmers packed their trucks and headed west, chasing rumors of work and rain. The road to California became a highway of heartbreak. They were called Okies, families living on the edge of survival. They slept by campfires, shared what little food they had, and kept driving toward a promise that never came. Children went to bed hungry, schools closed, and entire towns faded into dust. The Depression wasn't just economic, it was deeply human. Even the wealthy couldn't escape. Millionaires became beggars overnight. Former stockbrokers sold apples on street corners, hiding their shame behind forced smiles. The collapse didn't stop at America's borders. Factories shut down in Europe, trade froze, and the entire world slid into chaos. In Germany, despair fueled anger. That anger gave rise to a man named Adolf Hitler, and a movement that would change history forever. In the United States, President Herbert Hoover urged patience. But patience couldn't fill empty stomachs. Protests grew. Confidence vanished. Homeless Americans built shanty towns on city edges. They called them Hoovervilles. They were symbols of broken promises and lost hope. Families huddled around fires, using newspapers as blankets. Every night they whispered the same question: will things ever get better? Soup kitchens and bread lines became the lifeline of a starving nation. Even pride was traded for a bowl of warm soup. By 1932, frustration boiled over. Marches filled the streets, veterans demanded help, and Washington trembled with unrest. Then came a new voice of hope, Franklin D. Roosevelt. He promised action, courage, and change. For the first time in years, America dared to believe again. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, FDR declared. Those words ignited a spark of unity that would reshape the nation. Through the New Deal, the government rolled up its sleeves. Public works, job programs, and relief projects began rebuilding the broken pieces of America. Millions found purpose again, building roads, bridges, and schools. It wasn't wealth, but it was hope. And hope was priceless. Banking reforms stabilized the system. People slowly returned to trust their banks. and the economy began to breathe again. Yet behind every recovery statistic was a story of loss. Families torn apart, dreams buried, lessons carved in hardship. Art, music, and literature captured the pain of the era. Blues and folk songs became the soundtrack of survival. Photographers like Dorothea Lange showed the human face of suffering. One picture, a mother's weary eyes, spoke louder than any speech. The Depression forced leaders to see poverty differently. Governments realized that helping people wasn't charity, it was survival. But the world had changed forever. Economic despair in Europe planted the seeds of World War II. As war loomed, factories roared back to life. Women joined the workforce, and production became the new engine of hope. By the early 1940s, jobs returned. Families started over. The Great Depression was ending, but its shadow would never fully fade. New laws protected savings and regulated banks. America swore never to repeat the same mistakes again. Yet even today, the same warning signs appear: inflated markets, risky loans, digital speculation. The echoes of 1929 whisper louder than ever. In a world of lightning-fast trading and global connections, one question remains: have we truly learned from the past? Every crash, every bubble, every panic reminds us. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. The Great Depression wasn't just an economic disaster. It was a test of humanity and proof of resilience. It taught the world that greed unchecked can destroy nations, but courage and compassion can rebuild them. Out of dust and despair, people found strength. Neighbors helped neighbors. The spirit of unity became America's greatest weapon. Even today, grandparents' stories remind us of that time, of hunger, hope, and how perseverance kept them alive. And yet, every generation flirts with the same danger, forgetting the cost of arrogance and excess. From Wall Street's fall to Roosevelt's rise, the Great Depression remains a mirror, showing us both our worst fears and our greatest strengths. So, could another Great Depression happen again? Economists argue, but time has the final say. Every market boom hides a quiet countdown. When it stops ticking, history may repeat itself. But through every collapse, humanity has proven one thing: we rise again. The dawn always follows the darkness. If you found this story eye-opening, hit that like button, share it with others, and subscribe for more powerful moments from history. Because the past isn't gone, it's just waiting to be remembered.